Kirk Herbstreit was there as Oklahoma played its way into this number 2 spot. And Kirk, all week long, we heard this was a possibility that the Sooners would leapfrog Texas with a win over Oklahoma State. Now that it's a reality, what's your reaction?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I said last night to Brent during the telecast that I said the thing that I think will happen after watching Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State is that I thought that they would eventually emerge ahead of Texas and get into the Big 12 championship game. Now, what I think should have happened is I go back and I look at the head-to-head with Texas and Oklahoma, and I give Texas an edge. And the reason I eliminate Texas Tech is because, let's face it, they had 2 close home games against Baylor and Nebraska. I know they beat Texas. They got blown out by over 40 points late in the year against Oklahoma. And I'm not alone there. I think almost all the voters eliminated Texas Tech. The debate was really between Oklahoma and Texas. And that's why, for me personally, I go back and I look at the head-to-head. And, of course, Texas won the game by 10. At the same time, you can understand the rationale by some who say that Oklahoma should be there and they're in the Big 12 title.
That's a tough call. Mac Brown, by the way, I'm pretty sure agrees with you on the head-to-head philosophy. All right, Let's throw out the computers, throw out the logarithms, whatever mathematical calculations go into all this stuff, and tell me, based on what you've seen, and you've seen all these teams, who's number 1, who's number 2 in the country?
I think you have to start with Alabama based on what they've been able to do this year. I go back to their first game against Clemson, and nobody really expected much of them. And, of course, they surprised everybody that night, and they just continue to build off of that. Nick Saban, in his second year in Tuscaloosa, has done an amazing job. So I think they're at number 1, and I think the Florida Gators are at number 2. So, obviously, saying that and looking at what's happening this weekend, there's a fairly big ball game going on this weekend in Atlanta between Alabama and Florida to decide the SEC title and eventually one of the teams that will get to the national title. And then we'll see. The crazy thing is Oklahoma wins. They're in. They're going to play for the national title if they beat Missouri. If they lose, Matt, who, my friend, are you going to put in there to play Florida or Alabama in the national title?
Fortunately, it's not my job. I have no idea at that point.
We're not done yet. We still have one more week of madness.
All right, we'll talk to you next week to figure it all out.
All right.